Hello, everybody. This is Steve Dudarian from Mass Golf. We're here for one of the many video interviews we plan on conducting with members of the Massachusetts golf community. I'm delighted to be joined by Don Hearn, the Executive Director of the Golf Course Superintendents Association of New England. Don, thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome, Steve.
Don, I just want to start by having you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us what the GCSA does in general.
Well, I'm the Executive Director, as you said, of the Golf Course Superintendents Association of New England, and going on my 9th year in this position. Prior to that, I was a golf course superintendent for 35 years, and I consider myself always a golf course superintendent, so I kiddingly say I'm a non-practicing golf course superintendent. And grew up in the Boston area, worked in the Boston area all my life, and doing now, it really is something I enjoy doing every day. I work all the time, but I love it. And the people that I work with, they're part of my industry and always has been so. And I think that even if I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, I'd still be pretty tightly associated with the industry. I'd be attending the meetings, being active, and maybe some committees if they'd have me. They probably want me to be on the Get Lost committee, but that's neither here nor there. So that's a little bit about who I am and where I came from. I grew up in Woburn, Mass. I've lived in Chelmsford, Mass for over 50 years. I know it sounds crazy, but I still consider Woburn my home.
Nothing wrong with that. So, but for being from New England, of course, we've seen it all. We've seen the heat waves, the nor'easters, the other unusual weather events. We've seen just about all of it, but we haven't really seen anything like this with the whole COVID-19 situation. So what has life been like for those involved with golf course superintendents at large, and especially the organization that kind of oversees the work that all these individuals have been doing?
It is very, very different. The basics, people know what they have to do, when they have to do it. And I think most of what I've seen and heard and been told about so far is really just trying to maintain the golf course from a mowing perspective, just to keep the turf under control so that when things, whether they'll ever get back to normal or not, I don't know, but let's assume they will. So that when they do, it won't be a wholesale type of renovation that's needed. Quite a few of the people are applying PGRs or plant growth regulators to slow down the growth of the turf so that it doesn't have to be mowed as often. Irrigation, fortunately, we've had some, the weather is not midsummer, obviously, and there's not a lot of irrigating going on, but soon it will have to take place. And even if irrigation isn't needed, systems have to be recharged, pumping systems have to be maintained so they're ready to go. But, there's some feelings from some superintendents that don't believe that anybody should be on the property, including themselves and their staff. And that's okay. That's their feelings. That's fine. I'm not going to try to convince anybody to do anything that they don't feel is safe and is sensible. What they're trying to do is obviously maintain the property. They don't want to be policemen. They don't want to be around other people, within that 6-foot range. And obviously that's a minimum. Further away, the better. They're staggering their work crews, and they're doing what they believe is safe practices and basic maintenance at each of their facilities.
Yeah, can you tell us about some of those safe practices and some of the work that's being done across the state, whether it's the aerating of greens, which is probably being done at a bit of a maybe different time than usual, or just maintaining the bunkers, and what kind of work have you heard is being done right now?
Well, bunker maintenance has really taken probably one of the lower priority, if not the lowest priorities.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine anybody maintaining bunkers to the point where they'd be in condition for play. When I say that, I mean in condition for what the membership and golfers' expectations are for play. They get some washouts, some heavy rains, or a sprinkler gets stuck, some other kind of situation happens, then sure, I can see them just filling in that washout, smoothing it over, and forgetting about the rest of the bunker. Now, there may be a need if there's going to be some weed growth that they might want to bring out their equipment just to run it through. They have the powered brakes, which virtually every golf course does have. If they can run it through the course just to break up the weed growth, that might be that could be considered basic maintenance, but certainly it wouldn't be on a schedule basis. It would just be an as needed basis. And yes, some of the clubs are aerifying. Now, whether that's part of the normal routine of that particular club's superintendent, I don't know. Seems a little bit early for me, but that was based on my practices, which doesn't mean that's right. So, I mean, there's a couple of things. The process will go quicker. Yesterday, we're a club, in addition to the few people who are out on the course, I mean, out in that particular area, they were cleaning up purification plugs. The golf professional and the general manager was out there as part of the team. And I did look, and I didn't see anybody closer than 6 feet. I saw there was quite a bit of separation between everybody. So there's a little bit of a camaraderie there. Kind of a weird situation to have such a devastating virus create some camaraderie. But that was kind of like a positive. Some clubs use contract maintenance, so there's a chance that some of the contractors may be a little bit busier than normal. Sounds counterintuitive. Maybe I'm wrong, but there's a good chance that they're getting a little bit more work. I hope so. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that is happening. Is it considered basic maintenance? I don't know. I guess maybe we'll redefine what basic maintenance is. I think some people would have a problem with considering aerification basic maintenance, but if that's what you do this time of year, I guess it's basic maintenance.
Right. I spoke with Ryan Walsh last week. He's the superintendent down at Woods Hole Golf Club down on Cape Cod, and he said a lot of the courses in the Cape, kind of the regional courses, have really lended to mutual aid to one another and offered some advice. Obviously, they have their organization down there. Have you seen similar efforts being made throughout New England in terms of just everyone trying to help out others or just, lend basic practices during this time?
Yes, I have. One of the problems that comes up, Steve, is with the equipment. We had a club about 2.5 weeks ago where someone on the property had been tested positive for coronavirus. And I have no idea who that person was or what part of the club that they worked in or he or she worked in. But anyhow, the club made the decision to shut the entire facility down. So there was let's call it a call. It was a call that was put out to area superintendents to lend a hand with the maintenance of that facility. And on the surface, it seems like it's a pretty easy task, but the maintenance building itself was locked. I mean, the club didn't want anybody in or around any equipment on that property. So the way it was looked at was maybe if 5 or 6 clubs in the area could each take a piece of equipment from their club over to that club and do whatever they could, and then leave the property, bring it back to their club, and sanitize it, then things might work out. But then you get into the logistical problems of, okay, how do you move a piece of equipment from a club that's 1 mile away or 10 miles away? Do you have a trailer that you can put it in? If you don't, how do you do it? So as much as you want to help physically, unless you want to bring your body over there and help out using their equipment, if it's available, then you run the risk of, has it been not sterilized, but has it been sprayed with some disinfectant? If so, who did it? Should you bring your own? Should you clean it? There's all kinds of situations that you really don't think of, or I wouldn't have thought of initially, until you get right down to the meat of the matter, and you say, okay, now I've got to go and help this person out, and I have to bring a piece of equipment over there. Or if I can't, I want to help out, but I have to use their equipment. So how safe is that? I don't know. You take a risk, I think. You take a risk, number one, driving there. What if you get in an accident? The first responders are, so busy that the last thing that they need is somebody who's driving from, whether it be their home or whether it be their home golf course, to another one, getting in some kind of accident and just adding to their burden. So, I think that there's been a lot of, mutual aid, so to speak, but I think it's been probably like we're doing here, or phone calls, or texting, or Twitter, or Facebook, things of that nature. I'm not really sure how much there is as far as a physical nature offering help to people. I think it's more sharing ideas, sharing thoughts, and probably just the feeling of having somebody out there that you can talk to and realize that you're not the only one that's having these problems, and that life will go on, whether your golf course is maintained or not. Life is going to go on when everything turns back to normal, or the quote, the new normal, as people are very fond of saying.
How have those conversations gone, just in terms of people, like you said, you know, sharing the common issues and other things that they're dealing with on the course? Have you seen a real sense of camaraderie in that sense from different professionals?
In times like this, you call your buddies, you call your friends, you tune in online to a lot of webinars, podcasts, to listen to not so much, what are some of the things you can do during this period as far as maintenance of golf courses. I think if you're a golf course superintendent, you already know that. But I think it's good to listen to other people to see some of the things that they've encountered that you haven't, and maybe won't ever, but you could tomorrow, and see how people dealt with them. Some of them are on a personal basis, and some of them strictly on a golf course maintenance basis. Maybe some trick of the trade, so to speak, that you just picked up. So yeah, there's more interaction, I think, now between people than there is, or there has been, prior to something like this happening. And because of this technology that you and I are using now, it makes it so much easier. I mean, we can talk to people all over the world without moving, 3 or 4 inches, like I'm doing now. That's it. So yeah, there's more camaraderie. I think there's more communication. There's more interest in what other people are doing.
Obviously, it was a big relief, I think, for a lot of professionals when there was the exception allowed for golf course maintenance. Like you mentioned, people, of course, are focused on their families and doing the right thing. But when you talk about a golf course and a living, breathing thing, how important was that work to continue in when golf does resume in Massachusetts, whenever that day may be? I guess, what are some of the benefits we'll see from that work allowing to continue and getting the course to be in good shape for play whenever, again, that resumes?
Well, with some exceptions, the bunkers being one. Um, as far as the playing surfaces, they're not going to be mid-season, that's for sure. When that time comes, if the golf course has been maintained, more than likely the heights of cut have been maintained at a higher height of cut than would be normal for this time of year. So when it comes to the greens, tees, fairways, and rough, I think it's just going to be a matter of gradual lowering of the height of cut. So there shouldn't be any adverse reactions or results because of the lack of maintenance on a high level between when that started and whenever the courses are going to open. Now, one thing that might happen is the availability of staff. A lot of clubs and a lot of courses have had to lay off staff. Some have had the ability to keep staff on, whether they're actually working on the property or not. But I would say that most of the facilities have had to lay off staff. So when the course is ready to open again, they're more than likely not going to put them back on the same rate that they laid them off. So golf course conditioning may be less than what is obviously desired, but maybe less than what some people expect. So anyhow, I would think that as far as tees, fairways, greens, and roughs, I think that won't be much of a problem to get those back into shape. Bunkers, I think we're going to take a lot of time because there's a tremendous amount of hand maintenance and labor that's expended on bunkers just to keep them maintained during the season, let alone to get them prepared for the season. I would think that many clubs are going to be doing this on a limited staff, so it's going to take a while to get things back to, quote, mid-season. I know that the companies that are supplying the industry, they're out there ready, willing, and able to serve. So anything that's needed from a standpoint of products, I'm not aware of any shortages. Now that may change, but I'm not aware of any shortages that exist right now. There'll be some adjustments, I'm sure, in schedules. Some of the applications, the spray applications, it'll go down. There'll probably be a little bit more time needed to get them down, depending on what the staff requirements are, because you're going to have to try to coordinate the maintenance of the golf course with the application of various products, whether they be fertilizers, growth retardants, fungicides, herbicides, etc. They're also going to require a little bit of coordination, not only between the player and the applicator, but the applicator and the rest of the staff that's trying to maintain the golf course. Those are some of the things that we might have to be aware of that are going to be a little bit different coming out of the gate, so to speak.
Before you go, can you just please tell us where people can find resources on either best practices or maintenance for golf professionals at this time?
Sure, they can go to GCSAA.org, and there's a tremendous website. You'll see information from all parts of the country. You'll see virtually anything that you're worrying about or thinking about right now. You'll be able to pick up on the GCSAA's website. We have information on our own website, which is GCSANE.org. It's not as extensive as GCSAA's. We don't have the staff or the resources to maintain it to the extent that GCSAA does, and they're taking information from all parts of the country. And regardless of what part of the country you're from, there's an awful lot of information on there, not only from golf course, not only from the maintenance of the golf course, but other areas like if you have a staff member that comes to you and asks, what do you do now that I'm laid off? Can I collect unemployment? There's going to be some resources on there, and also the COVID-19 information that's on the state website. They update that every day. You can get on there. You can get on their email list, and they'll send you an update. Seems to come like around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night, every night, or later in the afternoon. Keep updated that way. So I'd say between GCSAA's website and GCSANE's website, the two of them should help you. And obviously, I'm here. Call me, text me, email me, any day, anytime. So they can call me as a resource. Hopefully I can help them. And if I can't, hopefully I can point them in the right direction.
Is there any other advice or just, words of wisdom you have for people working golf at this time?
No, I don't consider myself a wise man. So just hang tight. As people have said, this will get over. There's no question about that. And we'll be ending up doing things a bit differently. We don't know what that'll be. I certainly don't. But enjoyed going through this with you, Steve, and stay well.
Yes, thank you, Don. We appreciate you greatly, and thank you for all you do to support the golf community. Best health to those closest to you. And we want to thank everybody for joining us for this conversation. To stay in touch with all things Mass Golf, visit our website, www.massgolf.org, and follow at Play Mass Golf on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and check out our YouTube page. We'll see you next time. Thank you.